let's see here. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm recording. All right. So I'm going to go to my cat's controller. Let's kind of talk about these two things that I was talking about that are kind of like the main components of the backend authentication. So there's this one action called authenticate user. It's a method, but we can do this before action. This is kind of like a silly example. Like I just want to show kind of like we can do on the front end where we had like our React router could show or not show certain pages, whether or not we're logged in. We can do the same thing with our backend. So I'm going to make this function called everyone. This right now I can just render JSON. Let's see.
Is that before action supposed to say accept?
Accept, yes, accept. Okay. Thank you.
I didn't know if that was a new command or not.
Yeah, so this one, no checking. Is going to check token, also set. So if valid, set current user. Not valid. 401 error. Checks token. Same thing here, checks token. Since we don't check token here, there's going to be no current user. And then I guess I need to set up in my routes, I need to set up this everyone method. Okay, so go to my routes. It's kind of a demo one. So in here, I'm going to do a get everyone. That goes to my cat's controller to my everyone method. I always forget if I need commas after these. Okay. Let's also say this like authenticate user is, you know, a device token. But that's how we're getting that. That's not just magically appearing that. We're getting it from that gem. So I need to start, let's just kind of test this out a little. to kind of visualize this. So if I go to localhost 3001 API / everyone, like I'm not logged in. I'm not, this is not sending a token. Like I'm just going to my browser and just typing in this URL. So I can see this. Yay, it works. I don't need to send a token. I don't need to be logged in. But if I try to go to API / cats, since I'm not sending a token, that validation of authenticating the user is going to fail. So is that like this one, since I say, hey, don't authenticate user, we're not going to check. So that can just, that's like what essentially we've been doing up until now. But now we're going to, with our Rails app, but now we have the ability to check to see if the token, if a token was sent and if it's valid. It needs to be valid. It's definitely that part of it. Okay, so what we're going to do here in our index method is we're going to render JSON. I'm going to use my user. So I need to switch this in the Neo notes, but I called this method unliked cats. Now let's just review this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send in the current. Actually, let's just store this to a variable. Liked cats equals current user liked cats. I could just throw this whole thing in there, but we'll just do this so we can make a comment here. Grab the current user. You know, this is the it's going to know that token when a valid user sends this valid token, Rails is going to know that this token belongs to a particular user. And then it's going to take that token and it's going to, for us, set that user in our backend. And it's going to set it as this variable called current user. So if the token valid set current user to the user whose token that is. And so then we can grab that user. It's just an instance of our user. And so we can grab that instances like cats. All right. And we're just passing, you know, the liked cats array, just array of numbers to this method. So what's the unlike cats method doing? Or let's call this like cats IDs. That's a better name. So if I look at this user, this unlike cats method in my user, this is taking the IDs of the current users liked cats. And then we're just going to go in our database and we're going to find all of the cats where the IDs are not in, you know, that list of IDs. So this is the way we can get all the cats that the user has not already liked. And we also have this like method, which we give it the array of IDs and it'll just give us back all of those cats. It's kind of like a weird way, because we don't have like a user doesn't have many cats. There's like no association here. We're doing this in a weird kind of way where we're just keeping track of the IDs of the like cats or in an array in our user model. And then we'll just use SQL to kind of find the cats where they match or they don't match. Okay. And when we update, maybe this will kind of help show what we're going to do with the update method. So once again, if this method's going to require us to authenticate the user. So if we get a valid token, we're going to have current user. If we don't have that valid token, it's going to throw a 401 error. So, and we don't need to do that. Like device token auth is going to do that. So here we can assume we have a current user. And we can take this like cats arrays, and what we're going to do, I'm just going to call this push instead, so it's a little more easier. I'm just going to expect to get this from the params. ID. I'm going to convert this to a integer. So here what we're doing is we're adding the ID from params to I shouldn't say adding, just be more descriptive, pushing the ID from the params to the liked cats array. So really updates, like this method's going to get called user likes a cat. That's what this update method's going to do. It's really only, it's to update, you know, that like a user that a cat's been liked, and then we can do save to DB current dot save. Just like an update. Cool. So now we can go in here and go to our home.js and start doing the React stuff. So what I want this page to show is this page should show, you know, like cats for a given user, for a logged in user.
So this component would have to be a protected component, right?
Yes. Yeah, so we'll get there. Yeah, we're going to need to protect this. So let's just kind of like do like this process. So we could do like the set cats. Let's use state. Or that could be an empty array. Let's do our use effect. This is going to go on mount. Call this get cats method. Cool, and then we can kind of define this method. Cats, it's going to be async. I mean, do we have used Axios on this? Axios hooks. I'm going to look at this package.json. Devise Axios. Oh, I don't have. I was looking for Axios. What is that one called? Divide? No, it's Axios hook or something. I don't think we have it. Okay, never mind. We'll just do, I was going to do a shorthand way of this, but let's do it the good old fashioned way. So this is just an axios.get API/cats. And then we can set cats res.data. I'm also going to create some error state. This can just be null. And I can do something like this, like if error so if we have an error, I'm just going to return that error stringified. If not, let's just for now, before we get into like any of this, let's just go ahead and stringify the cats. So I kind of want to just look at some of this. And we'll make some changes to this in a second. So I'll select this out in just a little bit. But let's just kind of, look at what's going on. So we're going to load cats on mount. It's like the Axios call get counts. I don't really think I need a comment for this. It pretty much just describes it. If error, render this. If not, go ahead and stringify the cats. Okay. So let's go to my React app. I'm gonna go to my console. I'm going to also clear. Before I do, let's make sure all of this is running. I think I need to start my React app. Yarn start. Okay. So I'm not logged in, but I can go to this home page. So on my front end, there's nothing. I can still go to do the Axios call on the front end without being logged in. And I'm on my home page. I'm trying to do the Axios call and I'm getting a 401 error because I'm not logged in, right? That makes sense. I shouldn't be able to do that call if I'm not logged in. So I get that 401 error. If I log in, okay, well, this is a different error. Okay, I'm getting a 500 error. So that's probably like a syntax error, and there we go. Line 18 in my cats controller. Render JSON. There we go. Okay, let's fix that error. Let's go ahead and refresh. Okay. So now I'm logged in and now I can see this page. And now I can actually, since I'm logged in, that means I have a valid token. So I send the token and here are my cats. But yeah, if I log out and go to the home page, now I get the 401 because I don't have a valid token. So with this case, if this was how I wanted my UI to be, and this is what Joe was saying, I need to go, what I should do is, you know, I should go throw this route in my protected. I shouldn't allow someone to go home to the home page if they're not logged in. So now I have that link here. If they're not logged in, it's not going to allow them to go here, and they can't like come in here and type home. It's just not going to allow them to go there. But now to the front, so that's how on the front end I can like, it's more like a UX thing. It's like, I'm just not going to allow someone to go to that page. But independent of the front end, my back end has its own authentication. You know, you can try all day on the front end, but since I do this before action authenticate user, this is never going to work, right? And it makes sense. Like, how would this ever work if like, how is the back end even going to know how to grab the current user? Like, you need to send them some information, and how we're doing that is you got to send them that valid token. Cool. All right, so let's kind of make this maybe a little more user-friendly in our home.js. So we're only going to show one cat. So we're going to have multiple cats on our state, but for our UI, we're only going to show one at a time. So I'm going to create a sample method. That's just going to grab one cat from this array. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say, hey, do I have cats.length? I want to find I just want to grab a random number, like a random number from 0 to the length of my array. So how could I do this? I'm going to do a math.floor. Does anyone know what the dot floor does? I'm saying it right here, but
Counts the number down.
yeah. That is like such a confusing, returns the greatest integer less than or equal to its numeric argument. Isn't that like such a confusing way? I don't even know what that means. It's a confusing, that is a confusing way to say that. Yeah, essentially what floor does, if there's a decimal, it just chops off the decimal. So it doesn't matter if it's like 9.1, that's 9. If it's 9.9, that's also 9. So it just rounds down no matter what.
Is that just so you get a valid ID when it does the randomize?
No, I want to grab a random index. So I want to come up,
Yeah.
because in Rails, if this was Rails, I could just do like array.sample. And it would give me a random thing from the array. There's not a random method in JavaScript. So what I need to do is come up with number 0 to, you know, cats.length -1.
The whole number.
Yeah, whole number. So I'm going to floor it. So first of all, math, I'm going to use, because it needs to be random, so I'm going to do math.random. And let's maybe just do this in Node so we can see this. Math, here's how you grab a random number in JavaScript. You do math.random. Cool. That gives you a decimal from like 0 up into not it will never give you 1, but it could give you like .9999999 repeating. So it's like from 0 to 1 exclusive. Well, how do I get like a random integer out of that? Well, I could times it by the number I would want to go up to. Like, let's say I want to go up to 8. So that's going to give me 0 through 7. Copy this again with the decimal associated with it. Kind of gives me 0 through 7. Well, I don't care about the decimal, so I could floor the like just get rid of the decimal. Let's make this like smaller so we can like, let's just do 4 times 4. So I'm timesing the random by 4 and then I'm going to floor it. 1, 0, 3. Like I'm never going to get 4, but I get 0. If I wanted to get like 1 through 4, I could do the ceiling. How do you spell that word? There should be a ceiling method.
CEILING. There you go.
Or it might be sill. Okay, so I do sill. So that kind of gives me the opposite where it always goes up. So this would give me 1 through 4. That's just that lovely way of getting like a random number in JavaScript. So I'm going to do I'm going to floor this math.random times cats.length. And since I'm flooring it, this should give me 0. So that should go from 0 to the cat's length minus 1. And that's my random index. And then I could do like return cats at index. If I don't have cats.length, I'll just return null because there's nothing to sample. I'm just going to like slack out the rest of this JSX because it's I don't want to like just type out all this HTML. Actually, I'll just slack out this whole component. I did want to go over this sample method, but I'm just going to slack out the rest of this. So we've spent enough time, I'd say, writing some components, but okay. Oh wait, that has. I'm just going to take, actually, I'm going to delete this. It's a little different. I will just slack out this part. Okay, let me just test this and then I'll slack it out. Okay, link's not defined. Let's grab our link. That also looks like it doesn't like this. Inspect. Cannot read properties, undefined reading sample. Oh, did I leave that in there? This dot sample. Oh, is that a class component? Sample. Okay, so now we're showing one cat. Cool. I'm going to slack this out. So what we do down here, we grab a cat. If we have the cat, then we're going to create this some JSX just to render this cat. It doesn't have an avatar. So we'll just get a broken image right now. But once we run out, we might see no more cats. but we have some more to do to hook this up. But if I do refresh, that should do like an Axios call. It should give me all my cats again, but it should pick another random cat. How come that one has an avatar? The others don't. Oh, I don't know. Okay. Looks like some of them do have images, but the others don't. Not quite sure where that is. Okay. Look at my seeds file. Sure why that's doing that. Anyway. Okay. So let's keep going. So what I'm going to do here in this cat component is we're going to add, so this method, this gets a random cat from our cat state. Going to want a couple more methods because we have two buttons here that are not really set up. There's a thumbs up and a thumbs down. So this is how we're going to do the voting. So let's do a const downvote. This is going to take an ID. And here we're just going to set cats to be cats filter. We're just going to remove this from our state. So as long as the cat.id does not match the ID that was given to it, we'll remove that. And as a note for this one, this has no interaction with DB. It's only a UI thing. But what we can do is now we can click, have this downvote set up on this thumbs down button. So we can do an on click equal downvote, and then pass it the ID of the cat. So cat.id. Because we first sample the cat, then if we have a cat, then we'll return it. So if someone clicks downvote, what will happen is we'll run this method. This will change our cat state, which will actually trigger this to be called again. Then we'll actually go sample a cat. We'll go grab a new cat. But then when we call the sample method again, we'll come up with a new index to sample from. And it's going to, not pick out that cat because it should be removed. Actually, is that going to remove it? Oh yeah, because it removes it from the cat state right here. And then our array will be one less. So then we'll come up with that new random number without that cat in it. And then we'll sample a new cat. And then once we run out of cats, then we have this little else message, no more cats.
Oh, so it's not liking and disliking like on Facebook. This is like swiping left and right is what's going on. Like if you don't like something, it'll present you with a new one.
Yes, yeah. And like I said, the downvote right now doesn't do anything with our database. So it's just going to be a UI thing. Looks like I have this error, C is not defined, line 38. Oh yeah, because I need to say like, this is a function. I'll call that parameter C, or I could call it cat. Go through each thing in this array. Does that thing's ID parameter equal the ID that was given? See, now I can like thumbs down a cat, it gets me a new one. thumbs down, thumbs down. But you know, once I run out of those, like that's going to remove them from my cat state. And so then there's no more cats. But if I hit refresh, that will go back to my server, will grab me all the cats, and then I can kind of do that again. All right. There's also going to be a upvote. Same thing here, we grab the ID. This one, you know, will interact. Calls that update method. So I'm going to make this async. We are going to do an Axios call here. So then I can do an Axios dot put, because that was a put method. So it's API / cats. I need to interpolate this because we also need to send this the ID of the cat in the URL. Res equal this. And I want to like, so this like, what this actually does, this adds, you know, the ID to the like cats in user model. And then I want to update UI. I feel like this should not be that color. Okay, I'm forgetting my closing bracket. It's kind of just this same thing right here, how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to, because this one, it's like, I like the cat, but I've liked it, but now since I've liked it, I don't want to see it. And like, you know, Tinder, if you like something, you're not going to see that person again. If you dislike them, it's like you've kind of voted. So we could do the same thing that we did in Downvote. I could also just call Downvote and pass it the ID. Kind of like a little confused. Like maybe I want to call this like remove cat from UI. That's really what that is doing. That might be more descriptive, and then like I can reuse that method. And then on this thumbs up, we can do a on click. This one we can call this upvote. And give it the cat.id. Okay, so now, one way I could test this, I know if so this page, this home page is giving me all the cats that I have not liked in the database. So one way I could test this is I could like all the cats, and then if I refresh, I shouldn't get any more cats to view because it's like I've already liked all of them. So let's just try that. I'm going to thumbs up all of them. no more cats. And if I refresh, I don't see anymore because I've like liked them all. So there's no more my method that I call this API/cats. I go to my cats controller. That really just, grabs all of that user's unlike cats. So it looks through all the cats in on my database, takes all the cats that they've liked in their IDs and gives me, the ones that the user hasn't liked. Does that make sense? So this is good that when I refresh for this user, I don't see any more cats because they've already liked them all. And that's how like Tinder would work. It's like if you've liked all the like people on Tinder, you can't see them again. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's make another. Let's make another page that shows the user like the cats that they have liked. So for this, just going to throw this in components in, I don't know, let's just do this. And I could maybe make like a cats folder. Kind of gets weird on how you want to like organize this, but let's just do this in the shared folder for now. I could do like a cats dot, or let's call this like my cats. JS. So this one we're going to import use state effect and this would be React. Cool. We're going to do something similar. Grab all the cats. Use effect. Mount. Let's get cats too. This is once again going to be an async call. This is going to be I'm going to throw this in a try catch. Let's just do this kind of quickly. Axios.get API/API. We haven't actually done this one yet. Let's kind of go from the front end first, and then we'll do the back end. And then set cats res.data. And then, yeah, to do error. We kind of just want to get this working. Skip the, the try catch. Return. Just in a fragment. Why don't we just map over the cats right here? Let's go through each cat. And each cat, let's go ahead and return like a div. Let's just keep it simple for now. So image source equals cat dot avatar. Spell that right. And then an H2. I just want to throw in the ID here just so we can see it. Extra thing. It looks like I'm missing a parenthesis somewhere. Okay. Then we can export default. Cats. I'll slack this out. All right, so let's do this. Let's go to our app.js. Let's think about where do we want to put this?
Protected route.
Yeah, this one's going to be a protected route. My cats. Let's just do this, my underscore cats. Sweet, so there's that. Where should we put this? I guess, oh yeah, we have a link to that. I guess it doesn't, this link is in a bad spot though, because it doesn't show it if we don't have any cats. So maybe I should show it in here as well. Yeah, there's going to need to be like some maybe better UI decision here. But what, because I have this link to my cats, but if I don't have any more cats, then I'm not going to show this link. So what I would have to do is maybe like wrap this in a fragment, this no more cats message. So I could do something like this. So that takes me to that my cats page, which is probably having an error, but we're just not handling it. Getting a 404, which makes sense because we don't have this path defined. It's like rendering this, you know, my cats, but we tried it like more, this is breaking. Cool. So let's go to the routes. Let's do this my cats. That should go to the cats index to the my cats method. Why not? So now I'm defining this. So if someone does, so now the API, a get request to API / my cats goes to the cats controller to the my cats method. Well, that's this is going to be very similar to the index. So just copy and paste that, call this my cats. The only thing that's different with this one is I called that light method that we added to the user. We're just calling a different method on our user. And all that method does, if we look at that, that just goes and looks at all my cats where it's just going to match the IDs in this array. So the IDs of the cats where they are in the light cats. Let's refresh this. And yeah, and this one's going to render it as a list. So they like all the cats, right? I think we seeded them with 10. So 1, 2, 3, I guess they had their 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now I could like log out. I could register with like a new user. Let's call this user 22. Cool. So if I were to go to this new user's liked cats, like they don't have any liked cats because they haven't liked any. So if I go like chicken and then go to my cats, like chickens in that list. So that is working. Now, one little like thing I want to mention, and it's just kind of like bend your mind a little. So we have this home component. We could do something like this, like auth, or we could grab our auth, const auth equals use context, pass it the auth context. So we could grab that auth state. And we could maybe check like, hey, if auth.user then we get the cats.
Isn't this already a protected route though? So don't you have to have a user to be here anyways?
But we could make this not a protected route.
Oh, okay.
So we could say, hey, this is not a protected route. But we could still do a check. So we could have this, it's kind of weird, but we could check to see if we have a user. And we could do this stuff, and we could also say something like, because maybe we also like on this page we want to like do that. You know how we had that one like X, like maybe we wanted to do like the public API call here. Right, we had one of those. Wasn't it called like everyone? That was API / everyone. Let's call this message. Like you can like kind of come up with weird kind of combinations. So like everyone because it's a public API call. But only if we have a user do we try to get the cats. And yeah, this is getting. Did I call this state? Message. You all can see this. And so since I'm logged in, I can also see the cats. But if I log out and go home, No more cats. Oh. Well, that's because I don't have any cats because I am actually not hitting this because I'm trying to do like the if cat. So I need to do like the, I mean, this is getting like, I'd really want to like refactor this because this is getting a little messy. But to do something like this, I could show the message, but I could also give them like you need to log in to see cats. Users not defined is going to be auth dot user. So we could do the Axios call because this message is coming from Axios, but then I could say, hey, you need to log in to do this other thing. And we could log in. No more cats. Oh, that's the one that like we've seen it all. So we can grab that. So there can be like these weird, so it's yeah, just think like these are kind of separate. It's like how you're protecting your front end is different than how the back end is protected. Like the back end is definitely absolutely like, there's no way to like get all, do these methods if you don't have a valid token. The whole concept behind protected routes is a little more like, we can be a little more flexible with this, where we could do stuff like this, where we can kind of mix and match API calls, like one that doesn't need authentication and one that does. But that could be in the same page. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. So I think this really does like a pretty good job of kind of just showing, how we can have protected routes on the front end, unprotected routes on the front end, and also on the back end, protected routes on the back end and also unprotected routes on the back end. And it just is up to you, like which things do you want to be validated and not. And with the back end, there's always going to be this concept of like this current user, like who's ever logged in. Sweet. So that is it for me. Any questions? I'm going to push this up. Yeah, so when we get back, we'll go over maybe now the MySpace homework is going to make more sense. So you can start on that today. And then we'll give you that today. And then tomorrow we'll step into SQL. But let's go ahead and take lunch and then we'll come back at 2 o'clock.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.